Ready? Everybody good? Okay. I want to speak about a tragedy that unfolded this morning. There's a lot to tell you about what's going on, about the extraordinary response by our first responders. But first, let me tell you, I'm going to give you a quick overview. We're then going to hear from our Fire Commissioner, Sal Casano. We're going to hear from Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, who represents this district in the City Council. With us are other key leaders of our response who will join in for the Q&A. Commissioner Bill Bratton and Chief Phil Banks of the NYPD, Joe Bruno of OEM, Tom Ferriello, the Acting Buildings Commissioner. Also would like to welcome John McAvoy, the President and CEO of Con Ed, who is with us. And thank Councilmember Inez Dickens for being here. And we have a representative of Congressman Rangel's office as well. So today, at approximately 9:30 a.m., there was a major explosion that destroyed 2 buildings. The explosion was based on a gas leak. The impact affected buildings around the 2 that were destroyed. Very heavy impact on the surrounding buildings. A heavy fire has ensued as well. Fire is now up to a 5-alarm level of response, and FDNY is continuing its efforts to contain the fire, and then in the coming hours to finally put the fire out. There was no warning in advance. From the information we have now, I'd like to emphasize everything I'm telling you is based on preliminary information. This is the best information we have at this moment. It is by definition preliminary. But from what we know now, the only indication of danger came about 15 minutes earlier when a gas leak was reported to Con Edison. Con Ed dispatched a team immediately to respond. The explosion occurred before that team could arrive. As soon as the explosion was called in, FDNY responded literally within 2 minutes of the call for help. FDNY is now again in the process of putting out the fire. Con Ed is in the process of shutting down all gas mains going into this building, but that is a detailed and complicated process that requires digging up the ground and a lot of manual labor to turn off all the different supplies of gas to the building. This is a tragedy of the worst kind because there was no indication in time to save people. We know we've lost 2 people already. We know at this moment, preliminarily, that 18 are injured, different levels of injury. We also know that there will be a search through the rubble of the building as soon as the fire is put out, looking for those who are missing. There are a number of missing individuals. I emphasize that those who are missing could well be safe in another location and just not contacted yet or reachable yet. But there are a number of missing individuals, and there's going to be a thorough search to try and find or locate each individual. This is going to be an extended operation. This will take quite a bit of time to fully address this issue. To achieve that, we have on the scene 250 firefighters and dozens of pieces of equipment, including heavy equipment, necessary to deal with the rubble from the building. I want to say that once again we have been shown what our first responders are capable of doing under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. All of the agencies that responded, led by the FDNY, immediately secured the situation in the surrounding buildings, checked the surrounding buildings, made sure that everyone in those buildings was safe, made sure the fire was not spreading to other buildings. Extraordinary, fast, precise response by our first responders. I want to thank the police, OEM, everyone who's been a part of this operation already. We have a lot of people in this community right now deeply concerned. A lot of people who've been negatively affected in their buildings surrounding, a lot of people from the buildings, the two that collapsed, wondering where their loved ones are. Speaker Mark Viverito has been talking to a number of families. I've spoken to the pastor of the church that was one of the storefronts in these buildings. There's a tremendous amount of anxiety, but suffice it to say that every effort is being expended to locate each and every one of these individuals. Finally, for any relatives who are looking for information about their loved ones, special hotline will be set up shortly, but for now they can call 311. So for relatives, family members looking for information about loved ones who might have been in either of these buildings, they can call 311. Those calls can be taken in both English and Spanish. With that, let me bring forward Fire Commissioner Sal Casano to give you more details of the situation and the response.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to reiterate a little bit what the mayor said, the call originally came in at 9:31, and we had our first unit on the scene at 9:33. They were faced with a very heavy fire condition. Two buildings collapsed, debris covering the sidewalk and a couple of vehicles in the street. So they quickly transmitted an alarm for a major collapse response. And we now have over 250 firefighters, dozens of pieces of equipment, dozens of pieces of special equipment with our Special Operations Command. We have backhoes on the scene, but we know we're going to need some cranes, which we have coming on the way. The plan right now is to extinguish the fire. We're doing surface removal at the present time. We have to clean the sidewalk of the debris and the brick to check to make sure that there was nobody on the sidewalk or the street. And then once the fire is under control and extinguished, we will start to do some surface removal, some debris removal. We have to be very careful. The building is in a very precarious position. We want to make sure that everybody that's in there as first responders is safe. It's been a great interagency response between OEM, police, fire, buildings, but it's going to be a long, extended operation, and we want to make sure that we can get through that debris as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I'd like to call forward Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As has been indicated, I represent this district. My district office is literally half a block from the explosion site. I live 5 blocks from here. I was headed to City Hall when I heard about what happened and quickly turned around to be here. And obviously it's an extremely anxious time for the constituents that live here, for the families that have been impacted. But I want to praise and give thanks to the first responders, not only the FDNY, the NYPD, and all agencies that have responded. The level of professionalism clearly is not to be questioned, and it's been incredibly quick response. We have made our district office a command post for the first responders. We're interacting with some of the impacted families, trying to ensure that they get all the proper support possible. So I really want to thank everyone that has helped to this point. We're going to be as collaborative as possible with all of the agencies. Obviously, there are people that are still unaccounted for, and that is of concern. But we also have to think about people that have been displaced, and so all city agencies have a role to play, and we will facilitate that in whatever way. Me gustaría decir en español que cualquier persona que tenga familia o que conozca de personas que hayan vivido en estos edificios, que por favor se comuniquen con el 311, que no tengan miedo de buscar ayuda. Se va a establecer una línea de emergencia, pero hasta el momento no lo tenemos, y le pedimos a la gente que tenga cualquier información específicamente sobre esto. Si están buscando compartir información, que por favor llamen al 311 y recibirán la ayuda necesaria. Así que thank you very much to the first responders, and I really want to also thank very strongly the mayor for his quick response and for being here to provide comfort and leadership during this time.
Thank you. want to emphasize to all family members, all loved ones, all friends of people who lived in the building and are as yet unaccounted for, we are expending every effort. Our hearts go out to all the families involved. We're expending every effort to locate each and every loved one. Hopefully, again, we will find that some of those individuals are somewhere else in the city and just had not yet been located or hadn't been reached on their cell phones. So we're going to really use every effort we have to communicate with our hospital system, every tool of the NYPD to locate people. And of course, there will be a recovery effort as well, looking for survivors. I want to secondly say that, again, everything based project the most I can. So, everyone ready? In terms of the number of people missing, we don't want to give a number yet because we are still in the process of locating people, again, many of whom may just be in other places in the city going about their normal business. So we'll have more information in the coming hours. We don't want to misproject a number. We do know that there's a certain number of people we're trying to locate, and when we get a better read on that, the people who have been located versus the people that truly are still unaccounted for, we'll be able to say more. On the air quality, hold on, on the air quality.
In the immediate vicinity of the building where there is smoke, there are particulates in the smoke for sure, but in the surrounding area, in the open air with the wind and all, people will be okay. It's just in the immediate area of the building, which we're not allowing anybody near where there's smoke. Yeah, the air quality is not good in that immediate area.
Okay, hold on, one at a time. You hang here one second. Over here first. Go ahead on that.
Sure.
You do that.
There was a gas leak that was called into ConEd at 9:13 for an adjoining building, not for the address of the two buildings that was exploded and collapsed. It was, I think it was 1652 Park. Okay, and they were in the process of responding, but hadn't got there. And then a call came into 911 at 9:31, and we had our first unit on the scene at 9:33.
Okay, over there. We're gonna come around. Let's start over here in the purple.
Call us or?
Yeah, ConEd.
Call us.
President McAvoy.
Oh, John.
Yes, first I want to add that our hearts go out to on the loss of life and those that were injured in this and their families, and our thoughts and prayers will be with them. Regarding reports of gas prior to 9:13, our first indication of any gas leak was at 9:13 this morning when we received a call of a gas leak at an adjacent building. We dispatched crews 2 minutes later at 9:15. We do not have any confirmations, although I've heard some in the media reports. We do not have any indication at this point of gas leaks prior to 9:13 this morning. We don't have any recent calls to support that, no. And this is all preliminary information, and we continue to check.
Guys, we're going to come around to create a little order. We're coming around this way. Jonathan next, but just to clarify, the only, based on preliminary information, I'll keep saying that, The only indication was a call at 913 of a gas leak. And then the explosion occurred roughly 15 minutes later. Jonathan.
Two buildings that exploded. Have there been reports of construction renovations being done in the two buildings, whether by permits being taken out of the DOB or by
Let's get
neighbors?
Commissioner Ferriello to speak to that. Commissioner Ferriello, Department of Buildings.
Okay, we had no current work permits that were issued by the department on either building right now. So we cannot confirm whether there was illegal work ongoing or not, but that's what we have no permits from this department that were issued.
Okay, one more over here, and then we're going this side. One more there. Okay, say again, please. No, I think the bottom line is we have very professional, experienced people at each agency. Can dare say Commissioner Ferriello's been there a while and knows his work. So we know that everyone is doing everything they can to respond to this situation. I want to thank Borough President Gail Brewer for being with us as well.
Does Con Ed have an obligation to notify FDNY if they get a report of a gas leak?
Okay. Let's let.
Would that change?
Con Ed gets reports of hundreds and hundreds of gas leaks every day. If it's a real serious gas leak, they will notify us. Otherwise, they will send a crew out to handle the gas leak on their own.
Is there anything you could have done if you had?
If we were here 5 minutes earlier, we might have had some fatalities amongst our firefighters as well. So not being here at that time maybe saved some of our lives.
Again, ma'am?
Where are you going to take all the people who are being evacuated from this?
Okay, the question is about all the people being evacuated. Joe Bruno.
From the buildings?
We got them surrounding buildings.
Yeah, we have evacuated, obviously, all the surrounding buildings, those two next to it. We've evacuated even some buildings across the street that have some damage. Some people have been moved out. So we are going door to door in these buildings. NYPD is doing that. Buildings is doing that. And all the surrounding buildings to ensure that everyone is safe and that they are, if they have to, that they leave the building. So there's been a lot of evacuations in and around the area.
How many people?
We don't know.
I don't have that
We're
number.
not trying to give numbers till we have a better count. Let's let Commissioner.
Any building that had windows that were blown out due to the explosion was searched, and we let people shelter in place so that we didn't have to displace people just because their windows are blown out. And we're in the process of working with other agencies to ensure that those windows are sealed before the night and the rain comes.
Let me just give you an update on aid to families and residents in any of the surrounding buildings that were affected. The Red Cross has just set up a center to receive and support anyone affected by this tragedy. It's at Public School 57, PS 57, to 176 East 115th Street, right over here, 115th between 3rd and Lex. Anyone who's been affected by this tragedy needs a place to go and be safe, needs counseling or emotional support, needs information, needs food and water. That's an opportunity, a place where they can go and be safe. Again, 176 East 115th Street, PS 57, Red Cross Center.
That's what she's asking.
It said that
About
they've
the
heard.
smell of the gas in this corridor. Aquí, en esta. He's saying that they're supposedly, he's been talking to some people and they're saying that there's a smell of gas on this corridor.
So do you want? We'll check into it. Then.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay, so if there's any additional reports of a gas smell between FDNY and Con Ed, there'll be a follow-up right away. I'm going to let Con Ed respond to that. Again, I want to emphasize, with deep appreciation to the FDNY, Fire Department response time was 2 minutes. Fire Department, from the time of the explosion to the time they were on the scene to immediately try and save the people and support the people involved, 2 minutes. Let's let Con Ed speak to their response time.
So we received the first call at 9:13 a.m. We dispatched crews at 9:15. They responded to the scene shortly after the building has collapsed.
Where were they? Do you know where they're coming from? Any indication?
They were a little further north. I don't know the exact location. We received calls after the building collapsed. That was really the only initial call. We do, and it's based on severity of the leak. The most severe leaks, the target time is 30 minutes or less. And as Commissioner Cassano said, when they come in, if they reach a certain threshold that indicates a high level of severity, we will notify the fire department immediately as well. This did not meet that threshold. It was reported from an adjacent building as an outside, coming from outside the building, so it did not require that upgraded response.
Based on what was given to you?
That's correct,
Right.
based on the information we have.
Okay. Coming over this side, yes. Tell me the address. Which address again? 1646, Tom. Let's clarify. Again, I want to also say, I'll say something for Tom. The difference between we are concerned about every kind of violation, every kind of thing that needs to be fined. A number of violations would not have contributed to a situation like this. There's a whole range of potential things that we may enforce that have nothing to do with gas. So just want to clarify.
Right. 1646, the building on the right, did not have any open or any gas or plumbing related violations on them. Right. There's one violation of failure to maintain the building. It's from 08, but nothing gas related or plumbing related on that building at all. The building, no violations at all that were related to the gas or plumbing.
Okay.
Nothing from our department.
Based on what we
would-
know at this moment.
Sure. Well, first we'll do surface removal. We'll check on the surface, and then we'll do selected debris removal. We'll take debris, very small amount of debris at a time. We've got to make sure that the building is stabilized. We'll work with the buildings department, and then we'll do. We'll get to the basement eventually, but it's going to be make no mistake about it, a long extended operation done very carefully so that first responders aren't put in danger. So it's going to take us a while, but PD had their dogs on the scene and checked the debris for us, and we didn't get any hits from the dogs. So that's one positive. But again, we're going to remove the debris from the side, which we're doing right now, and then we'll get into the building itself. No, I'm not.
We don't know
no,
that yet.
I'm not going to say that.
We want to just caution, just 1 second, we want to caution that we don't want to speculate on the number of people who might be in the building and their situation until we have the ability to get closer and deal with that rubble. So I want to be very careful. We're saying there's a number of unaccounted for people. Some may well be safe and sound elsewhere in the city and just not reached. God forbid there are some in that building. It'll still take some time to get in there and know for sure. Very preliminarily, Speaker and I spoke to Pastor Tomas Perez, who's the pastor of the church and owner of one of the buildings. And he is, and some of his congregants were there, and some people who either were family members. They were trying to clarify who might have been there. They still don't know themselves, and people live in the building and are directly connected to the building. So everyone's trying to piece it together without assuming until we're sure, and we certainly do not want to alarm family members. We want to make sure everyone is accounted for in every way. But this will be, again, a long operation to get in there and fully get the answers.
Sí, sí. No, estamos bien apenados por lo que ha ocurrido, pero entendemos que estamos en el proceso, o sea, estamos siendo cautelosos y queremos ser responsables en averiguar exactamente quién vivía en esos edificios. Estamos en el proceso de contactar a los dueños de los edificios, averiguar cuántas personas vivían ahí y estamos en ese proceso, así que no le puedo dar números específicos. Pero lo que estaba mencionando antes es que todavía no tenemos una línea telefónica de emergencia, entre tanto que la gente llame al 311, que por favor se comuniquen con el 311 si tienen alguna información o si están pidiendo información sobre alguna persona que conozcan, y hasta el momento vamos a tomarlo paso por paso, pero mi oficina tenemos las puertas abiertas, estamos trabajando con el Departamento de Policía, el Departamento de Bomberos, para asegurar de que tengan un espacio a donde trabajar y prestarle ayuda a la comunidad.
Do you have a breakdown of whether the fatalities and injuries were from the two exploded buildings or the surrounding buildings? How does that?
Again, I don't think, and I'll look to Commissioner Bratton, Commissioner Cassano, Commissioner Bruno. I think we want to be very cautious about giving any breakdowns until we have better information. We do know there's 2 fatalities, 2 deaths. From that point on, we want to be very cautious and make sure we have accurate information.
Do you know how many residential units were in both buildings?
Tom, do we know how many, between the 2 that collapsed, how many residential units?
Yes, information we have is 1644 had 6 families, 6 families,
units.
6 units, and 1646 had 9 units.
Commissioner, can you repeat that answer over here, please?
Wait, go ahead.
1644 had 6, 1646 had 9.
So 6 units in one building, 9 units in another building, so a total of 15, yes. To either one of you, either one, were there any temporary gas lines?
Not aware of any temporary gas lines that within our jurisdiction. None.
We have no permits that were taken out for any temporary gas lines.
Time for a couple more, guys. How is the air quality around here, and should residents be concerned about
We spoke to it just before, I don't know if you were here, that in the immediate area of the collapse, you should stay away from that area, but you will be staying away from that area because it's already cordoned off by PD and FDNY. So the immediate area of the collapse, the first responders, who I'd like to note, very bravely always go into those situations. That's where there are air quality concerns, but not here, not the larger area. Hold on 1 second, please. I don't think we know yet the citizenship of the individuals, do we? We don't know yet. We'll have more information as the day proceeds. Again? Do we know how the leak created the explosion? I assume that's something we need to get a lot more information on, right?
Marshals.
Why don't you go ahead?
We have our fire marshals on the scene, and right now they can't get anywhere near where the source of ignition was. But once we get through the debris and the rubble, we will get down into that basement and see where we think it was ignited.
Go ahead.
We are relieving the units that were here first on the scene because, again, it's very laborious moving debris and heavy equipment around. So we are in the process of relieving the first 2 units that were here. It's a very difficult and arduous task. No, we didn't get here till after the explosion took place. We were here 2 minutes later.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll have updates later in the day.
Everybody stay put for a second. Everybody stay put.